Hi, welcome to the training video for the Pure i6 steam cleaner. This is one of the babies in the industrial range of the steam cleaners. So it's a 3 kilowatt machine, which is as much power as you can draw from a normal plug socket. So it does produce a lot of steam. It gives you 6 bar of pressure and a nice high volume of steam. So the machine has a handle to pull it along at the front. You've got the steam generator at the bottom of the machine, and the vacuum unit sits on top of the machine. This vacuum unit will lift off. It's a little bit like a Henry vacuum cleaner, I suppose. So the base part here is the waste tank where the waste comes into, and on top of that just sits the vacuum motor here. If I undo these clips, this comes off. There's a filter inside. And then you've just got the waste tray there. So when you're done with your cleaning, you can tip that away into a toilet or a bin. The vac top plugs into the machine in this little compartment here. So it just clips into there, and now the power will get to the vacuum unit. On the side of the machine, this has got protective coating on it here, but if you peel that off, it's a stainless steel machine all the way around. And at the back you've got a basket here to keep all your accessories and things in, and just below it you've got 2 bottles. One bottle is for tap water and the other bottle is for detergent. Just use regular tap water in this machine. If you use deionized or distilled water, the sensors that detect the water levels won't trigger. So you need to just use regular tap water, because it's the impurities that actually cause the electric current to trigger the sensors to make the machine work properly. If you're in a very soft water area like Scotland, you may find the water is too pure to actually trigger the sensors, and if the sensors can't detect water, the machine will beep and it will stop working. So that's designed to say if the bottles are empty, the machine will beep, it will stop working, and that's to tell you to go and top it up. Now if you're in a soft water area and it's beeping at you, you can get around it by just getting like a small teaspoon of salt and just mix that into one of the water bottles. That gives it the impurities it needs to make the sensors work. The other reason it might beep at you if the water bottles are full and it's beeping is because it's not getting enough power to the machine. Like I say, it's a 3 kilowatt machine and it does draw a lot of power. So if you are using it on an extension lead, you need to use a very high quality, ideally 2.5mm core extension lead and no longer than 10 meters. It should be quite happy on a 10 meter, 2.5mm core extension lead. If you use a thinner extension lead or a longer extension lead, it may struggle to get the power it needs, and you might find it beeps at you and it won't work properly. So if it does that, change your extension lead or just don't use one, even better. Okay, so the 2 bottles at the back both need to have liquids in them to operate the machine. Like I say, if there's nothing in a bottle, it's going to beep at you and stop. So you put your water into the water bottle, and you also have a detergent bottle on the back. So if you're not using detergent, and to be fair, steam cleaners, steam basically works by breaking down dirt by actually getting inside the dirt and blowing it apart, whereas water bounces off of dirt. So that's how steam works. It actually gets inside the dirt and it blows it apart. So in most cases, you won't need detergent when you're cleaning with steam. But if you're trying to do something specific like break down chewing gum or something like that, you might want to put a chewing gum detergent into here, and it can mix that in with the steam, and then it can perform operations like breaking down chewing gum, things like that. So you've got a detergent bottle and a water bottle. If you're not using any detergent, just put regular water in the bottle just so the sensors know that there's something there. Okay. So you've got some controls on the front here. So when you first turn the machine on, this is your power switch. So you've got off, number 1 and number 2. When you first turn the machine on, the boiler will be empty. Click it to number 1 and all that will do is that will run the pump, and that will take the water out of the bottles and it will put it into the boiler. Once the water has gone into the boiler, the pump will stop running, Then you switch it to number 2, and number 2 will switch on the heater elements, and that will heat up the machine. If you know that the machine already has water in the boiler, then you can just go straight to number 2 when you turn it on. So that's your power, the machine's turned on. Takes about 10 minutes roughly to heat up, and then when it's ready, this green light here will come on to say that it's ready to produce steam. The red light next to it will come on if there's a problem or when it runs out of water. So if you get the red light on, check the water. If there's water in it, check you're not using a poor extension lead. If it's neither of those problems, you need to just contact your service centre and they can get that sorted for you. Next to it here, you've got a steam pressure dial. So this machine sets to 6 bar, so it builds up to 6 bar in pressure. And then underneath it here, you've got a pressure regulator. So you can adjust more or less pressure. And I know what you're probably thinking is we'll just stick it on max because that's what we want to do. It's great. This machine will let a lot of steam come out, but the only thing is it will let more steam come out than it can regenerate. So that's if you're trying to do some real tricky or hard to clean places, it will let you pump a lot of steam out to clean that. But at 3 kilowatts, it's limited to how fast it can replace that steam. So if you put that on max and just held the steam for a while, you might find the pressure starts dropping as it's struggling to keep up. So as you're running it, if you want to be using it for a long period of time, you'll see the pressure gauge sat on the 6. When you start to use it, that will drop a little bit as the pressure comes out the boiler. If the needle's dropping and dropping and dropping, it means you're letting too much steam out. You can simply turn this dial down a little bit until the needle stays where it is. And then where it stays where it is, that's how much steam you can have continuously running out of that machine for as long as you need to. This is an industrial model machine, so it can just run for hours and hours. You can just be using steam from it as you need to. This here is a pressure release valve. Basically, if you do need to release the pressure from the machine for any reason, say if you're transporting it or something like that, you can. You don't always need to, you can just let it cool down by itself. It's not recommended to open that straight away when it is up at full pressure because it will just release a lot of steam pressure out of it. Ideally let the needle on here at least go down to 1 bar or less before you release the steam cap on it. And then you have a switch here as well for hot water, so it's another function of the machine. If you turn that on, when you pull the trigger, then it will actually release hot water out of the gun. It's using the little red switch, which I'll get to in a moment on the handle. And then that's just for rinsing. It's about 80 degrees of hot water. You can use it for rinsing, or you can mix that in with the steam if you wish, if you want wet steam to help with your cleaning. You get 2 hoses with the machine. So this is a steam-only hose. So there's no vacuum with this hose. It's nice just to have a lighter hose if you're doing car detailing or something like that where you're just trying to do some detail work. You can't vac with it, but you just get a nozzle and a brush, which I'll show you. I'll just plug it in. So this plugs in just down into this little square box down here. And with this, you get this tool here that goes on. You just press the button, slot it in like so. Now when I pull the trigger on there, you can see the steam coming out. So if you're trying to do some sort of detail work, cleaning around here, you can. And then here you have a little detail brush as well, so if cleaning ovens or sort of detail areas, you can steam and clean around the little nooks and crannies with that as well. Now, for a health and safety point of view, when the steam comes out at the tip, it's over 100 degrees. I can't remember the exact number, but it's very hot at the tip. But as the steam expands, it cools very rapidly. So I can put my hand here, and I'm not burning my hand. So from a health and safety point of view, it's not too dangerous, but you don't want to put your hand or anything right to the tip when it's in use, as that will be very hot. If that's the case where you're needing to have your hands near it, we'd recommend using gloves. But if you're not putting your hands near it, then quite safe. You can run that past your hand without doing any harm to yourself. So that's the steam only hose that comes as part of the kit. There are a whole selection of tools you can get on the end of the steam only hose. You can get floor tools if you want to get down to the floor. You can get steam mops that go on it. You can have a floor scrubbing brush, a floor squeegee, tools for doing all sorts of things like tiles, windows, you do the roof, you can do all sorts of things with that. So there's a whole selection of tools that you can get from our website. Okay, so now we go on to the steam and vacuum hose kit. So this hose kit has a vacuum part here, which plugs into the vacuum part of the machine. And then you've got the steam part with the electrics that plugs in down to the little square box. And you have a control here for the vacuum, which switches just on the back of the handle there, turn the vacuum on and off. And the other one next to it is for either the detergent, turns detergent on and off, or if you've got the hot water facility switched on here, that will switch on the hot water. So to run the vacuum, keep the vacuum on here, and then you can use the switch on here to operate it. So similar to the other one, this has a safety switch here, which means you won't be able to accidentally release the steam. If you unclip that, and you get the steam comes out of there. So you can turn the vacuum on there. If you want detergent, switch that on, and then as you're running the steam, you'll have detergent. And we have a selection of tools to go onto here. So this one is the detailed nozzle. You simply push it on, give that a twist, and that locks that into place. So with the detailed nozzle now, the steam is just coming out of the nozzle tip here. The vacuum stays out of the way for this. So this is if you're doing sort of, like intricate little areas like that where you just want to get a little brush into the nooks and crannies. And for that, you get another detail brush that comes with the steam and vac kit. So that is used to clean parts like that. That's your little detail kit. This tool is for doing upholstery, furniture. You can do chairs, you can do curtains, all sorts of different things with that. So that's just a nice flat. Steam comes out of these holes here, and this part is the vacuum. So if I turn on the vac now, steam's coming out of there, and then it's sucking the dirt into there. So as you pull it towards you, steam will be cleaning, the vac will be sucking, and you can use it like that. You can clean mattresses with it, all sorts of different things with that tool. You can add to that tool if you like. You've got a clip-on brush, and the tools I'm showing you here are all included with the machine when you buy it. So that's a clip-on brush, so you can now use that if you like to scrub, so it's good for upholstery and chairs and things. Again, steam comes out of there, scrubbing, and all the dirt's getting sucked into the waste tank of the machine. Here I have a squeegee tool. So clip that onto there. Squeegee tool is for doing smooth surfaces, so this could be for stainless steel ovens, it could be for cleaning glass, windows, any sort of smooth surface. And again, steam comes out of there, and as you pull it down, it'll be steaming and sucking all at the same time. This tool is called a gulper tool. There's no steam involved with this tool. This tool is simply for doing things like if you're vacuuming up carpets and stuff like that, or smooth surfaces. It's just literally a vacuum tool. That's just a steam brush, so if you want to do sort of dusting, it's very good at just sort of dusting and vacuuming at the same time. Again, doesn't involve the steam, that tool. This is a crevice tool. This is just for getting into sort of tight areas down between car seats, various bits like that. Has a radiator extension to go on there as well, so you can clean down in behind radiators with it. And then we have extension tools, so pop these on, just clips into place like so. So there's two of these together here, and this reaches the floor to clean the floor. You can clean the ceilings with it. You can, if you want, add up to another couple of these on there as well. So if you've got high areas to clean, these do help you to reach high areas. And with these you have the floor tool, Pop that on there, lock it into place. And on the back you've got a couple of clips. So you've got some bristles here. The steam just comes out of these holes here just next to the bristles for scrubbing and steaming. You then have this tool, which you just slot into place like that. And then you lock in just by sliding these, and that locks it into position. This squeegee is for doing smooth surfaces like lino floors. It's very good with Altro floors as well. So that's the smooth surfaces tool. This is a brush, so just clip that into place. And the brush is for basically if you need to scrub floors or scrub any surfaces, walls, ceilings, all sorts of things like that. And this smooth plastic tool here is used for keep cleaning carpets. And if I pull the trigger on there, you should see the steam comes out in a wide sort of all the way across there as you're cleaning the floor. Switch on the back. So for maintenance of this machine, you simply have a very clever device which is a self-descaling boiler. That's made of copper and it contracts and expands as it gets hot and cold. As it's moving, any limescale cannot stick to the boiler and it all falls to the bottom. The heater elements are bands wrapped around the outside of the boiler rather than your traditional heater elements like in a kettle that would just sit inside the water. So traditional elements will sit in the water, get covered in limescale, and effectively your efficiency would decrease. It won't produce so much steam, and if that limescale starts getting around all the pipes, then you're going to start having blockages and reliability problems. This machine, completely empty copper boiler, nothing in there, and like I say, all the sediment will just fall to the bottom. So depending on how much you use it, if you're using it daily, we'd recommend once a week. If you're using it weekly, we'd recommend once a month. Just underneath the machine, a little tap, and you just open the tap and any of that sediment or anything that might have got into that boiler will just fall out through the boiler. So you want to be putting it over a drain and just make sure it's all cooled down before you open that tap. Don't open it while the boiler's hot and under pressure because you'll just release steam out of the bottom. So wait for it to cool down. Maybe good idea to do it before you start using it rather than after you've used it. So that just cleans the boiler out. So it's a self-descaling, self-cleaning boiler system in there. Waste tank, like I said earlier, you can just unplug the power here, undo these clips, take the top off, and then you just take the waste tank and put it down the toilet or give it a rinse out and flush it down into a waste drain somewhere. And that's basic maintenance of the machine. Now you'll find in your box when you open it up that you'll have a little kit here, which is a little O-ring kit. So just on the end here of the gun, just on there where the steam comes out, there's a little rubber O-ring. You'll also find it on the end of the extension hoses, and basically wherever you fit a tool. You also have a couple just sat inside here where the steam comes out of the machine. So you'll have O-rings to fit. There's basically two sizes. The larger one is for in here and the smaller one is to go on these tools. And the other thing you get in the kit is a little pot of lubricant and a couple of sticks, applicator sticks. So you can simply use those sticks, scoop out a bit of lubricant. If these break or come off, then you can just pop on another O-ring and just give it a dab with some lubricant, and it just keeps it slippery, and it just means that when you're putting these tools on and off, because they obviously get changed quite a lot, it keeps it all working nicely and it's less chance to split again. If you find they're splitting too often, it's probably because you're not using lubricant on them, because they can, because they do get hot, so they do dry out. And if you're just constantly putting things on and off and you haven't used any lubricant, they're more likely to split. So do use lubricant, it really does help. Should make them last for quite a long time. All these instructions and also a list of additional extra tools that you can purchase through our website can be found in the instruction manual that's supplied with the machine. Do email us if you want us to email you a copy as well. We're quite happy to do that. You do get a hard copy with the machine.